What's up, guys? It is Jonathan with One Big Impact. So I'm going to talk today about what I feel the most important thing is about powerlifting and how to get stronger and how to be most successful on your powerlifting ventures. Now, you might be saying, I'm doing fine on powerlifting. I'm not having any issues or anything like that. And that's perfectly great. I think that's fantastic. If that's you, click away from the video. Otherwise, maybe if you stay around, you have some questions. First and foremost, you got to understand for 99.9% of us out there, it is going to be playing the long game. It is not a one-day thing, a one-year thing. For the average person, if you want to get really strong, in my recommendation, I would say you got to really put in 4 or 5 solid years of powerlifting to be able to get pretty damn strong. Now, what that means is 4 or 5 years of making sure you don't miss your sessions, making sure your nutrition's right and you're eating carbohydrates to be able to fuel your workouts and aid in recovery and shuttling the protein into your muscle cells. You're worrying about your sleep. You're getting sleep. And if you're the type of person that says, well, I can't get enough sleep. I'm only sleeping 3 hours a day. Okay. Fine. If that's what you want to say, then you're not ready for this. Otherwise, you'll figure out a way to sleep more and do more. And you'll figure out a way not to miss sessions. And you'll figure out a way that you can prioritize your nutrition to put it in line with what you're doing. Some other key factors of powerlifting are understanding your weight class. What I mean by that is you might be kind of strong. Say you're, 250 pounds. And other beginners at, 180 to 200 pounds are lifting the same as you. You might just be too damn fat. And that might not be your weight class. And vice versa. If you see that you're not doing very good and you're not progressing, you might need to gain 10 or 15 pounds. You might not be strong in your weight class. You might not be strong at 105 pounds. Or you might not be strong at 300 pounds. Or, you know what I mean? Like competitively strong. The other thing is that you need to make sure that you're not getting into powerlifting specifically for trying to get stronger than somebody else. And you know what? You know what's funny? You also need to get into powerlifting not giving a fuck about what I say that you should or shouldn't be doing to get into powerlifting. If you want to do this to get stronger than somebody else, fucking do it. If that drives you, that's fine. If it drives you to push and beat somebody on the platform, then do it. Is that my reason for it? Not really. No. That leads on to the next thing. You have to understand that you're going to fall in and out of love with powerlifting a lot. And I'm not just saying no, I hate lifting weights. I don't really ever get to where I'm I don't want to lift weights or anything like that. But sometimes there's days where I'm fuck, I got to find a gym that has to have, 600-700 pounds in plates. They got to have bars that I need. And when I'm traveling, it could be a pain in the ass sometimes. It is always my first priority, no matter what. But it's kind of like a relationship. They always say that you should get with your best friend because your best friend, you're going to fall in and out of love with them, and you can always rely on that friendship. Powerlifting is like a relationship. In my mind, I love the throb. That was a horrible choice in fucking words. The throb of going and lifting a heavy ass fucking single or a PR. That just, whew. But the downside of the relationship is you can't always do that. You can't always have the great night out with your significant other. Sometimes you got to watch the kids. Those kids are those 6 fucking repetitions. It's the off cycle hypertrophy phase that you just don't want to fucking do. Now, that being said, understanding that there's going to be ups and downs, and there could be months or 6 months where you're just like, fuck, man, what am I doing? Where am I at? Like, I'm just like floating around in space and stuff like that. Push through. Understand that you got to push through. The next, and probably in all honesty, the single most important thing, in my opinion, to get really, really far in powerlifting is, now, a conjugate guy will tell you something else, and that's fine. But at this stage of my powerlifting, I guess I've been powerlifting for a solid 4 years, and that might not seem like a lot for a lot of you guys. But if I'm squatting 2 or 3 times a week, that's a whole lot of fucking squat sessions. Do the math. Thousands of squat sessions. You really gotta understand in like a clear and precise mindset that you are gonna do the same fucking shit a lot. You're gonna squat the same way a lot. You're going to deadlift the same way a lot. You're going to bench the same way a lot. You're going to go do the same accessories a lot. It doesn't mean you're going to do those things forever, but especially when you're like building a base of strength, it is very fucking like repetitive. Now, personally, I don't really give a shit. It doesn't bother me. Like, I really, really, really like a systematic approach to things, like doing the same shit over and over and over, at least, you know, in certain cycles and phases or whatever, because in my opinion, if you jump from one exercise to the next, 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 you're not getting anywhere. Your body needs time to adapt, to understand. And if you're like, your body's like, oh shit, I know what I'm doing. Oh, where's that exercise? What's this new thing? Oh, fuck, I got to learn this now. I can't get stronger. You really got to understand that your body needs time to adapt. And then it has to get out when it's good, if that makes sense. You have to understand that you really got to push the limits on each thing. Even a conjugate guy, now I'll speak on a positive note of conjugate. Even conjugate guys will do 3-week phases or 3-week rolls or whatever you want to call it, 3-week mesocycles or microcycles of stuff like a safety squat bar or whatever they're doing, like a pin bench or deficit deadlifts or something like that. Whatever they're cycling in, they're going to do it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like 3-week rounds. And they do that, and then they max out because they can get better at it by then. You can't, I've proved it, you can't just randomly max out on something your body's not used to. I'm just getting over kind of like an injury that caused me a good 6 to 8 weeks down from lifting heavy, because I tried to max out on a safety squat bar squat, and I had not touched that lift for a really long time. I got a pretty good number on it, but I should have phased it in over the few weeks and got used to the lifting of it. There's a lot of approaches to powerlifting. There's a lot of programs out there. There's lots of ways to do this. But in all honesty, for the average person that's just been doing this a few years, it really truly is about just coming in there and banging the weights over and over and over again. Like you're just hitting the weights. You're just working on your technique. You're perfecting it. Like over time, it just becomes second nature. If you are having a hard time with like hitting depth on a regular basis, or pausing on your chest, or you're not locking out your deadlifts or something like that, you are in no way, shape, or form should you be doing some weird ass program. You should keep it very basic for a very long time until you feel like everything looks absolutely amazing. If anybody ever comes in here and I have to call them on depth, why in the fuck would I do some tricky ass squat shit with you? Your fucking depth's inconsistent. Anytime you go for a PR, it looks like you can't all of a sudden you don't remember how to squat. Like the pattern's got to be the same. You got to train the patterns. Like you have to understand that powerlifting is just 3 lifts: squat, bench, and deadlift. Are there things that are going to get you stronger in those? Yes. Are there going to be variations of those lifts that you're going to have to do eventually to be able to get stronger because just doing those lifts won't? Yes, that will be a thing. But understanding that, in all honesty, is the boring day in and day out squat, bench, and deadlift that people are just going to get sick of and try some new tricky shit and end up hurting themselves. And they'll just get discouraged and they'll fall off. So I don't want to talk forever. I just want to say that if you want to get better at powerlifting, in my opinion, the single most important thing is stick to the basics. Understand that this is just a 3-lift exercise. You're not out playing football or soccer with 50 different plays. It's a squat, a bench, and a deadlift. You have to pause on your squat, or you have to pause on your bench. You have to squat to depth on your squat, and you have to lock out a deadlift. And that's really all you got to do. And all you got to do is get really good at that and then get really strong over time. And you'd be really surprised by doing very similar things over and over and then just slightly getting a little bit stronger every time, how quick those numbers will creep up. If you add, 5 pounds every few times, you're going to be that much more ahead of the competition. You guys, good luck in your next powerlifting meet. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks.